Welcome to this explainer. So, picture this. You know exactly what you want to do, right? But you still go and ask like 5 different people for their opinions anyway. You totally trust your instincts right up until the exact second someone disagrees with you. Sound familiar? Today, we're diving deep into the honestly exhausting psychology of self-doubt. And, more importantly, we're going to walk through the exact steps you need to take to finally rebuild that self-trust. Let's get right into it.
It usually starts out a little something like this. You make a decision, and then immediately, literally almost automatically, you question it. You start replaying conversations in your head, analyzing every possible angle, and you just keep wondering, wait, did I actually make the right decision? Now, look, occasional uncertainty, that's completely normal. We all get that. But this constant looping questioning, that's the stuff that slowly chips away at your confidence and just drains your ability to trust your own judgment.
And when that heavy doubt hits, we usually fall straight into what's called the reassurance cycle. It goes like this. You make a choice, you feel the doubt creeping in, so you immediately look for external reassurance. And yeah, that gives you a quick hit of temporary relief. Thank goodness, right? But here's the trap. It doesn't actually build your confidence at all. In fact, seeking out that quick fix reinforces a really harmful underlying belief. It basically teaches your brain that you absolutely cannot trust yourself unless someone else confirms it for you.
But you know, self-doubt doesn't just poof into existence out of nowhere. It builds up from repeated experiences over a long time. We're talking things like constant criticism, rejection, failure, or maybe a really deep-seated habit of people-pleasing you picked up as a kid. Over time, you get conditioned to be terrified of making mistakes, and you actually start to believe that other people just magically know what's better for you than you do. So instead of asking yourself what you think, your default setting just becomes looking outward.
And here's where it gets really tricky. When you constantly rely on everyone else, your own identity actually gets pretty blurry. Think about it. Having this massive need for external approval makes you super susceptible to social influence. You essentially lose your inner compass, relying heavily on other people's opinions just to figure out who you are and what you stand for. Breaking away from that outside influence, that is absolutely step 1 to getting your confidence and emotional regulation back on track.
To really rebuild that self-trust, we have to talk about shifting what psychologists call our locus of control. Basically, this just means asking who is actually in the driver's seat of your life. An external orientation means you honestly believe outside events and other people control what happens to you. But an internal orientation, that means you believe your own actions drive your outcomes. It's the profound shift between anxiously asking, what if I'm wrong, and confidently saying, I might not know exactly what's going to happen, but I totally trust myself to handle the outcome.
And the differences between those two mindsets are just staggering. An external locus leaves you feeling totally powerless, always blaming luck or outside forces when things go wrong. But adopting an internal locus, that doesn't mean you delusionally believe you'll always make the perfect decision. Not at all. It just means taking responsibility. It means knowing, hey, if I do make a mistake, I have the capability to learn from it, adjust my course, and keep moving forward.
Now, to be fair, no one is 100% internal or external all the time. Our mindset is more of a spectrum, heavily shaped by our childhoods, our environments, and our relationships. Rewiring years and years of that conditioning definitely takes some time. And the absolute best tool for shifting that balance back in your favor? Emotional intelligence. Developing your EQ allows you to recognize what's actually happening inside your own head before you just automatically react. So when you hit that massive wall of self-doubt, emotional intelligence tells you to just pause. Instead of immediately running off to seek reassurance, you stop and you actually ask yourself, okay, what am I really feeling right now? Why am I so uncertain about this? Am I genuinely confused about the facts here, or am I just terrified of making the wrong choice?
And this perfectly brings us to how we navigate these decisions of trust, which is sometimes modeled as the MVIR2 framework. It basically highlights how we often totally mismanage the choice between trusting ourselves and deferring to others. We end up corrupting our own decision-making process by seeking out validators. You know, those people we secretly just want to soothe our anxiety and agree with us, rather than actually looking for a genuinely objective perspective. We let the sheer fear of being wrong completely override our own internal compass.
So, the very next time you feel that overwhelming urge to text 3 different friends to ask what they think about your choice, I want you to hit pause and ask yourself one absolutely vital question. Am I asking for advice right now, or am I asking for permission? Listen, there is absolutely nothing wrong with seeking out good advice. The real problem kicks in when you literally cannot bring yourself to move forward without someone else stamping it with their approval.
You also have to watch out for something called emotional contamination.
This happens when completely irrelevant emotions, like say you're in a bad mood or dealing with some totally unrelated stress, end up skewing your gut feelings about a decision. And look, if you make a bad choice while in that state, it doesn't mean you're fundamentally bad at making decisions. It just means you made a choice with the limited information and emotional bandwidth you had on hand at that exact moment. We really have to stop treating every single mistake as hard evidence that we're incapable. They are literally just data points. You learn, you adjust, and you continue on.
Okay, so how do we actively fix this and rebuild that trust? First off, start making small decisions completely alone. Pick a restaurant without consulting 10 different Yelp reviews, or just choose an outfit without texting a picture of it to your group chat. Second, start keeping small promises to yourself. If you say you're going to do something, actually follow through. Every single completed promise becomes concrete evidence that you do what you say. Third, reframe how you look at your errors. And fourth, start really noticing that craving for validation before you actually act on it.
As noted by groups like the META Foundation, relying on everybody else for constant reassurance actively weakens your own autonomy. Stepping into your true power requires making independent choices, even when they cause you some temporary anxiety or discomfort. You really have to learn how to self-soothe. It's all about affirming your own value and truly realizing that you are not responsible for how other people feel about the choices you make for your own life. A massive, massive part of this entire journey is simply learning to live with uncertainty. Because here's the truth, you are never going to have complete 100% certainty in life. Every single major decision you will ever make contains some element of risk. True confidence is having the willingness to move forward anyway, even without having every single answer mapped out perfectly in advance.
Which brings us to the biggest lesson of this explainer. Confidence isn't knowing you'll always make the right decision. Confidence is knowing you'll be okay even when you make the wrong one. You can make mistakes without being a failure, guys. You can totally change your mind without being weak. The goal here isn't to somehow eliminate self-doubt completely. That's impossible. The goal is to stop abandoning your own voice the absolute second that uncertainty appears. So as we wrap up, I want to leave you with a few reflection questions to really chew on. When did you first learn to doubt your own decisions? Whose approval do you find yourself seeking the most often? And what evidence do you already have in your life that proves you can trust yourself? Remember, you do not need everyone's approval to be valid. You just need enough self-awareness to hear your own voice and the courage to actually listen to it. Self-trust isn't built by always being right. It's built by proving to yourself that you can handle whatever happens next. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.